Yeah, I mean, I never believe. I mean, the only time I ever gave that some credence was I knew a guy in high school who was like 6'8", probably weighed 350, not fat at all, just a big guy. And he said he saw a ghost in a house in Conshohocken. And I was like, I'm not going to argue with him. He could crush me in a heartbeat. Like if he said he saw a ghost, he saw a ghost. Yeah, that's it. But I mean, you always like to think, well, what's beyond.
You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
From, my grandparents. I haven't seen any of that. I saw a guy one time. I swear to God. After my grandfather passed away, that was in the 90s. But I worked at Suncoast at least a couple of years later, and there was a guy in front of that store one day. It's probably just a coincidence, but he looked just like my grandfather. And he turned around and smiled at me, and then the next thing I knew, he was gone. And I was like, wow, that guy's face was just like my grandfather's. And it freaked me out. But other than that, my grandmother said she had a dream that he came back to her and told her everything was okay. And a lot of that could just be, your subconscious telling you what you want to think, you want to hear. But yeah, all that stuff, there were people there that probably died horrible deaths and stuff, but I've never seen any evidence of it myself, so.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, a strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter on iWalter. Good morning, and if I haven't said that, it's Tuesday, 2/14 on August 18th, 2015. Yes, I've been off for quite a few days now, so I apologize for anybody who does listen to me, which is not that many people. I actually, Friday I had to go to bed early last week. Saturday I had bought a ticket. It was $100 to go to Pennhurst, which I shot a lot of video. It was nothing really that spectacular because I was just following a friend and his brother around, just trying to videotape because I really wanted to do that. The friend's brother is really knowledgeable about the place I went, which, if I haven't mentioned, was Pennhurst. That was what it was in the beginning. We were discussing that. He left a voicemail, and I used that for my video, too. It's an hour-and-a-half video. It's very redundant because it's just me following those two around. I thought it'd be a really good idea. Unfortunately, the camera I used was on my head. It was called a GoPro, which took really fabulous pictures, and the sound quality was phenomenal. I did not expect both. I used the camera before, but never the way you're supposed to use it, which is basically you wear the camera. So that one took really good video. I had my professional camera, but that professional camera is meant to be on a tripod at all times, which it was not. So the video quality was a mess. I don't think I used hardly any. And by the way, the movie I put up was actually shot in high definition on both cameras. The video is at basically it's 1080i or 1080p. I know it's 1900 by something, the resolution, but it's an hour and a half of footage that I actually put up. Again, it's very redundant. It's on my Facebook page. I will try to make a link on tonight's show on my thing. The thing is, it's so washed out. I literally to do the movie. At the quality I shot it at would be, I think it's about at least, even if it's compressed, it's about 7 gigs. Uncompressed, it was like 60 gigs. So, and I had to go all the way down, even at the 7 gig mark, I had to shrink it down Just to put it up online, I had to shrink it all the way down to 1 gig. So it's going to look really bad unless you're watching it on a small screen. It's going to look like total crap. It's just boring anyway. It's like an hour and a half of just me following these two guys around. And when I was at Pennhurst, just to give people a heads up, there was no ghost whatsoever. Me and this friend agreed. We said that basically, I'm like a scaredy cat, so to speak, kind of person. I get scared of my own shadow, but I would feel very comfortable spending a night in there. The worst thing you're going to get in Pennhurst is probably some type of mold infection, or in your lungs. You might get sick from the mold and mildew in there. Bacteria, it's like probably all types of mold. They actually said they spend, in certain buildings, they were forced to remove, whoever bought the place, the owner now, was forced to remove asbestos, because they do horror tours through there during the months coming towards October. Halloween, they will do these haunted house tours, which the place is not haunted. I'm sorry. But they said they spend, I think, over $200,000 just to remove it from, I think, 1 or 2 of the buildings. And they get vandalized constantly. Now, it's a shame, if they put that much in, I guess it's not worth them to do anymore, but it would be a shame that they can't restore some of the buildings and just, basically do tours of, like, basically bringing it back to the way it used to look. You know what I mean? Like, fix the walls, get rid of the graffiti, basically put better security in there. They do have security guards, apparently, more so than they used to. But that's all costly. I guess it's not a very good time, but it would be really nice if they could just restore, so people don't get this image of just these mildew. I mean, there was piles of mattresses and books and pillows, but this is stuff left from like 35, 40 years ago, from when the place originally got shut down back in the early 70s. So it would be nice if they could restore those buildings, get rid of the graffiti, fix the glass. Somebody actually broke into one of the rooms. I guess it would be just too costly, though, because actually one of the foundations, one of the buildings, the main one, which was a hospital, they said they were walking through. It was either them or some kids who, actually, I think it was both. These kids, like, broke into the hospital building at Pennhurst, and they were walking on the 3rd floor, and they ended up in the basement because the floors are so dry rotted, and the roofs all have holes in them, and they're all rotted out too because it wasn't taken care of. So whoever bought it basically is just using it as a tourist attraction. But a lot of the buildings you really can't go into just because they're plain dangerous. Now, I'm near Norristown State Hospital, and on the grounds, those buildings are a little bit run down too. But there is certain buildings that they are infested with animals, and they are just completely run down, just like Pennhurst. A friend said, yeah, it'd be a great place to make a horror movie, if you did like an independent horror film, because those buildings at Pennhurst really have a lot of stuff to show from. They even have tunnels that basically go from building to building, underground tunnels. They used to use those, I guess, to get from the buildings. It might have been put there originally maybe during the war. I don't know, because those buildings are really old. But it was $100. I don't quite think it was worth it. I found it a little bit boring. But the information that was offered by the owner, I think he was talking to us because he seen me filming with a camera, and he let me. I think the owner's son was asking me questions about, like, what kind of camera equipment, and he thought I was there to check out ghosts. It was like, no, I'm just there to check the historic reasons, because I might have mentioned this before, I had an uncle, his name was Michael, and Michael, I'm trying to think of my mom's maiden name now, Michael Soletta. He was like the only son at my brother my mother had, and he was actually born a vegetable. So he spent his whole entire life in Pennhurst, and it really bothers my mother because Michael was actually in a room in a crib as an adult with other patients, but they were so overcrowded, they literally put adult people in cribs if I remember correctly, from my mother. And he died in the hospital because he couldn't take care of himself. And it was too much because my mother had a lot of sisters. It was too much for my mom's mother and father to take care of Michael. So they put him in Pennhurst, and he ended up dying in there because they said it was so understaffed and so overfilled with patients. They had patients feeding other patients, which would have been Michael, my uncle. And they believed that Michael actually suffocated because whoever fed him, the other patient, actually killed him unintentionally. So, what was I going to mention? I was too young to remember him because apparently we had a picnic years ago. Well, you're talking in the early 70s, I guess. Michael was at one of the picnics, I think my mom said, and I don't remember him. All I remember my mom telling me was that he was a vegetable. Basically, he could not do anything. He was not functional whatsoever on his own. So it was a shame. I would like to know what he looked like or whatever. And the closest I can get is Pennhurst. So I do believe, there's probably certain things out there, but at Pennhurst, I don't think there is anything. I mean, if Pennhurst is haunted, I would have to say then maybe Norristown's got to be haunted. And I don't think that is either, trust me. I'm just hypothetically speaking. So I did that. I could actually use the different soundbite, but I actually didn't. Had to come home. I had no sleep the night before. I was so wound up I could not sleep. So I got zero sleep the night before. Went to Pennhurst almost like a zombie. It was very hot. And it was kind of funny, by the way. Not only was it really hot, I was sweating. I wore one of those stretch shirts, those Under Armour shirts, because I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm wearing that because it's going to be so hot. I guarantee, and it was. And it was not as hot in the buildings, but it was extremely hot walking from building to building. They showed you most of the buildings, too. And they let you basically roam for an hour, 2 hours in each building. So it was, an hour, because there was 4 hours of footage I shot. And on 2 cameras at the same time, so it was technically 8, but it was a 4-hour tour. So it sounded like, and you didn't even scratch the surface. There's a lot there. It's just a shame they don't have the government take over. I even hate to say that word, the government. Somebody take over besides a private organization that can actually restore those buildings to the point that they look like and just do tours as a museum type thing. Because it's very interesting. Again, it's very disturbing because Pennhurst got shut down because of the way it was so understaffed. And then it got the reputation of not only being the worst mental institution in the country, but it also got somehow put down as the most haunted place in the United States, which I don't believe that whatsoever. There's a lot of people that are diehard. They believe in the supernatural more so than I do. Like they watch the ghost hunters and stuff. And it was kind of funny because there was this one heavyset guy, and he was there with his wife or whatever. And me and my friend's brother, we were walking around, and this guy said, "Oh, you don't want to go down that corridor." He said, "It got really cold." He said, "It got so cold." This was in the basement of one of the buildings. He said, "I seen my breath in front of my face." So the friend's brother, Paul, I'm just going to call him by his name, Paul, he said, that guy saw his breath in front of his face because he was so sweated up, because he was so overweight, that when he went down to the basement and the change in temperature made him think that he saw his breath. And then he said also, he said it got really cold. It's like, yes, if you're like sweating because you're extremely overweight, and then you go to a basement where you know the temperature, there's no lights. You had to bring I had to use the lights. All of us used the lights on our phones, or we had some people had flashlights. But when you went down to this basement where there was no light, it was basically musty, mildewy, and very dark. You're going to feel like you got to chill. But this guy swore that chill was ghost. There is no ghost at Pennhurst. I'm just going to make that flat out straight. Now, the guy who did the tour guide, he was also, I think, the owner who did the tour guide. He even said, oh, yeah, we had the ghost hunters there. And just to, like, stir things up, they actually had one of the cast or one of the crew members throw a chair to make it look like something supernatural, threw the chair out of a window or off a roof. And the guy even said that to these people. He said, there's no ghost here. He said, we had the ghost hunters here and they couldn't find anything. And just to make the show more interesting, apparently, they got a crew member to throw a freaking chair off the roof. And these people swore up and down. Some of these people swore up and down, yeah, there's ghosts. I mean, to me, it wasn't that fascinating. I'm more fascinated in shooting subjects and people. The old buildings, like the way Paul, my friend's brother, shoots them, he does a really nice job. I mean, he uses his camera on his phone, and he had posted his pictures. He put up almost 300 pictures, and they all look really good. They look very professional. So, yeah, I was really shocked because I thought I could take good pictures with my regular camera, but he really takes good pictures with his camera phone. Now, he's got a Google phone. I got an Apple phone. Now, my one friend had taken some pictures, and he got some nice pictures with me and my friend have an iPhone 6 Plus. But for some reason, the pictures on my regular camera did not turn out that good. But of course, I had used a different type of flash drive, and I think that shouldn't make a difference, but it did. It was, I think I actually brought it back. I bought it at Walmart because it was a last-minute thing. I had to buy one. I normally buy Sony because I have a Sony camera, and it takes really nice pictures, but I end up getting a scan disc flash drive, and the pictures look like murky shit. So I was not happy about that, and he used the camera the whole time. So, anyway, again, I will put up the film. And then, by the way, that night, I mean, it was 4 hours of that. I was dead tired. I come home and try to sleep for a couple hours because here I had a double concert to also go to on Saturday night. And it was the Pennhurst is up in Spring City. I had to come home, take a nap for a couple hours, take a shower, and go back out because we all felt really disgusting. Me, my friend, and my friend's brother. He was staying at his brother's. I went right home to my house and had taken a shower and went to bed or a little bit, like an hour, because I had to go back out because then I had to go down to I think it's Glenside, and I went and seen the concert which was really good, with Psychedelic first and The Church. They were both really good. And the funny thing with that, by the way, I'm going to go astray a little bit. Those guys actually hung outside. It was the Keswick Theater in Glenside. They actually hung out and they talked to people one-on-one. Now, I didn't realize that. I knew like Psychedelic Furs are British, but I didn't realize this band called The Church. They're actually Australian, I think. But they hung out. They talked to people. They were even signing autographs from their tour bus. It was like, guys, you are really cool. But, I guess they're not as popular as some of these bands nowadays. Even the older ones are not as popular. But they're both like, it's like going, I just went to Marilyn Manson and Smashing Pumpkins, or basically what I call Billy Corgan. I mean, those are great. When you get two bands that you really like, your opening band is a lead band, and then your main attraction is a lead band. It's like, this is perfect. Now, for the Psychedelic Furs in The Church, it was like $40 or $50 for both tickets, and it was like, that was well worth it. It was definitely worth the money. I mean, and I could have easily upgraded to actually floors. I had floor seats. Well, I had very close seats. There was no such thing as floor seats there. But I could have got actually pit seats because they never sold out on the pit. They held some seats behind, and then they released them about almost a week beforehand. And I could have got even better seats. So, anyway, I wanted to finish out because when I got home, I wanted to go to sleep for a couple hours. And in the back of my mind, I kept on hearing my friend's brother, Paul, say, oh, yeah, that guy that said he saw or felt a ghost presence. In the back of my mind, I heard him in my head saying, Paul, saying, oh, yeah, that guy didn't see any ghosts. He was just so overweight. He was sweating like a dog. That's the only thing the only paranormal activity he felt was the sweat coming off because he was so overweight. I'm like thinking about this, and I'm like laughing out loud, like literally to the point I couldn't get any sleep. I was like, dude, you just ruined my chances of getting any type of rest. So, yeah, that was the highlight. It was a very busy day. I had my one friend, Todd, though, then he said, oh, I want copies of those pictures. Can I get them that night? It's like, he ended up going back. It's like, that, because he had to work on Sunday. I have off Saturdays and Sundays. And it's like, you want me to give you these pictures, get you video footage I have taken, that when I get home, I didn't get any sleep on Friday. I didn't get any sleep on Saturday. And you want me to stay up and give you all the stuff that I had taken from that day. And it's like, oh, my God, he didn't stay around, but that really pissed me off. He wants to come over to house this afternoon on Tuesday. It's like, I went back to work. That's a different story, I got to tell you, which I will. But it's like, you know what? I haven't had any rest in weeks because my job's just been a nightmare. That's another thing. A friend, actually, I will not mention, he found a guy I used to work with at my job. He got laid off, and he found another job at another pharmaceutical company. Here he found an article on the particular pharmaceutical company I work at, and everybody is like either on the ball and they realize, listen, this job is going to go away. Like our company is slowly, at the plant site I work at, they're slowly eliminating bit by bit. They're closing down the business, that location of the business. So many people are saying, yeah, we used to have all this work to do. We're getting less and less work. They're laying off more and more and more and more people, and they're basically whittling away until there's nobody left, or it's going to be a skeleton crew left behind if they do keep the place of employment where I work. So I got certain people, like one friend that works there, she's like very naive, and she thinks, oh, well, business is going to pick up again. It's like, you don't understand. They are sending business over, like we have plant sites overseas. We have plant sites down south. And they're sending all the work from our jobs out to these other plant sites where the wages they're paying these people are far less than what we're getting. If I'm getting like 32, these other people, and these people that are really naive, and I think it's like they're living high on the hog, are working 7 doubles a week, but they're not realizing, hey, they're just stacking up so they can close down where I work. Please, excuse me for a minute. I got to pour some soda because I'm really parched again. Been drinking soda and iced tea. I did drink some water, by the way, too. So, yeah, she's living in this, what do you call that, delusion? This one friend of mine, she's like in that situation of delusions of grandeur. I even showed her an article that said, listen, your job is going to be gone. I'm really worried because I hate my job, but reality sets in. I'm not going to make the money I'm making now. I make almost gross a week is about $1,200 or $1,300 a week after taxes and paying back loans I have. It's more like $800. There's no job out there I'm going to get that kind of money because they pay like ridiculously stupid amount of money for what you do. So that being said, we've had people in my building that haven't worked in weeks. They come in every day. They sit there. They watch TV. They watch movies, TV on their computers, and they goof off, and they think this is great. Hey, I'm getting paid all this money to sit on my ass. I even get overtime. They don't realize that I talk to different people in different buildings where I work. They said, listen, these jobs are whittling away. Like this one friend I talked to, I haven't seen in a while from a different building, this guy, he told me that he said, yeah, when he started in this particular building, he started a couple months ago, or actually a year or so ago. It's like, dude, I miss you. You're like my favorite person to talk to. And he said, oh, yeah, where I'm working now, the building I thought was supposed to be basically the land of opportunity that they were picking up business has weaned down to nothing. They got like rid of 75% of the people that worked office jobs in the building he worked in now. And he said that production work has been weaned down to less than 50% of what they were expected to do. And he said it's going to get worse. And they're just shipping all our work out. But then you got these people who are so naive. Oh, well, it's not going to affect me. I've seen this happen before. It's going to pick up. It's like it's not going to pick up. You know, you got this economy, which that's what I actually wanted to talk about also, because I remember hearing this on Rush, so I had to look it up again. Yeah, it was an article, not from the source, which was Rush Limbaugh, but I heard him talking about it. Do you know now, and this was on freedompost.us. It says the new economic record, 94 million Americans are out of the workforce. 94 million fucking people. Yes. So it says the Bureau of Labor and Statistics just released the July numbers. So that was like a month ago. Unemployment rate is unchanged at 5.3% with 215,000 jobs added. Yeah, what kind of jobs? Jobs that don't pay anything. The number of Americans not in the workforce and not looking for a job and therefore not included in the unemployment number is a record 770 million people. And it says 6,325,000 are working part-time but would prefer to work more. So, these statistics say one thing. They just basically, people who don't even look for work anymore, they just eliminate it from as being part of the workforce altogether. So it makes it look like, oh, yeah, the unemployment rate is at the all-time low. And I remember Rush saying, he said that the biggest problem we have right now, folks, is these people coming over, and I think it was probably he was referring to Trump or somebody else, maybe it wasn't Trump, that we have in record history, we have more immigrants than ever before. Like the immigration, we have an immigration explosion in the U.S. But the thing was, he was stating that they're all illegal immigrants that are in the country. So this record high immigration explosion is all with illegals. I did have an article on that too. I don't have it in front of me, and I don't think I'm going to bother to look for it right now because I didn't want to go off too much in that tonight, that direction, because you really need to catch up on some sleep too. I haven't had a steady night's sleep in weeks now. But I mean, that's just ridiculous. He actually mentioned that. He said that, yeah, record illegals in our country, and it's horrible. And I might look for something. I doubt I'll find anything, but that was really depressing. And he said, quote unquote, they're all coming from Mexico. So it doesn't mean they're all Mexican, but they're all coming over the border of Mexico because there's nobody to stop them from coming in the country. So our country is no longer the U.S. anymore. It's basically everyone else's country that has been like misfits that have been thrown out of their home. So anyway, one thing was really interesting. I remember I played Friday's show finally because I was behind on listening to Rush Limbaugh for about a week or two now. But I finally listened to Open Line Friday. It was like I think it's 28, 29 years that Rush has been on now. That's pretty impressive, continuously. But he put up on his webpage, Rush did, and it's really good too. It's these two black women. It's WeBeSisters.com, and they are 100% backing up Trump. These two black women, and that was like really impressive. And it said they titled their thing "Donald Trump Gives Hope to the Black Lives." So, these women, they're black women, and they are 100% supporting Donald Trump. And it was like, you know what? I'm glad to see that. I'm not going to make any insults about that because these women are not falling for the bullshit with the Democrats. And they're saying that, yes, we need to back up Trump because we have nothing else to live for, right? Well, not, you know what I mean. Maybe you don't. But right now, our country is a disaster. I'm going to look for this illegal immigration. Immigration explosion. Sorry, folks. I'm just hoping I can get it. Immigration explosion in U.S. Let's see what I can come up with. Yeah, biggest population boomer ever. Numbers in U.S. Immigration explosion. Yeah, and it's all illegals, though. It says census immigrant population to explode 85% by 2060. But I did read one. It's all, they say it's undocumented workers is the way they're stated. So you got you're going to have an increase to 86% by 2060, and it's already that high almost now. So, yeah, this is not a good thing. I mean, oh well, we got, this is not a birth rate. These are people illegally coming to our country. They are they're poverty stricken. They can't live in our country probably for other reasons because of being sex offenders and basically terrorists or some type of other deviant problems. And they are flooding our country. They are living on our welfare. They're making our states, our country into a welfare state. They don't care because the Democrats, the way they look at it, it's like we got to get them an ID of some sort. I don't care if they're illegal. This is the way the Democrats think and we're going to give them free food, free housing, even the most expensive cell phones. Because I heard a guy at work say, yeah, he went down to Philadelphia and there's this woman with a shopping cart filled with food, and she had a brand new iPhone 6 Plus. But what's that happen to do with anything? Well, the same woman, he said, this guy and his wife said they were pissed off because the woman paid for a shopping cart filled with food with an access card. But yet she had a brand new iPhone 6. So that's another problem there, too. You got people who are just basically, there's going to be no Social Security. You got all these welfare recipients that are coming that are illegals, basically getting everything given to them for free. They're being encouraged by Democrats to stay in this country and procreate for the sole purpose of that, hey, all we ask for in return is you vote for us and we're going to give you more free stuff. So our country is just run into a disaster. I know I changed my subjects a few times. I'm trying to do it in an even flow because I've been off for, almost 4 days now, I guess. And I didn't want that to happen. I was going to take another day off, and it's like, I can't do this because I don't want my show to, it's probably already down to like nothing already. So it doesn't take that long. So anyway, this is just ridiculous. I know I use that word an awful lot. Rush did talk about some other stuff about, I vaguely listened to him today on the way home. He was also talking about this whole shenanigans again with Planned Parenthood. It's just out of hand. But honestly, I don't have enough information to talk about that. My main interests were, I had a very busy weekend. That's my main points. I got to go to Pennhurst and do the tour. A friend actually suggested I should call the guy and see if I could just go in there again and maybe just do a podcast with the owner and stuff, because I think they would be really interested in doing so. I would be definitely interested. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do that. I really enjoyed going again to the Psychedelic. Those guys got really old, though, but they still put on a great performance. Psychedelic Furs and the Church, band called The Church. They were really good. You should check those out if you haven't. I'm just looking at some stuff. You know what? It was really cool. They put up another thing. I'm just skipping around right now. I'm trying to see where the link was, but they put up another thing, I guess, down in I don't know if it was that's where it was before, this really big shark. It says down the Isles of Galapagos, and this shark, it's these guys in a shark cage filming it, but this shark, whoops, I turned on the sound now too. This shark is like the size of a whale, but it looks like it's like a gentle giant. I mean, if all sharks were like this, Jaws would not make the money that it's making now. Oh, it's actually on this guy's webpage too. Oh, he got really close to the shark too. Like firsthand, without a cage. I would like to pronounce the guy's name, but I can't, and it's just really hard. Yeah. Oh, wait, he got this video from Blue World, but the guy's like down there with the shark, and he's not in a cage either. But yeah, that one shark in particular, the really big one, it's not a whale shark. It's actually a great white, but it's the size. You know, whale sharks call it a whale shark because of the size of it, but they usually live on plankton. But this one great white is the size of a whale shark. The one that this guy has on his Facebook page. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. So, ooh. So, yeah, I'm sorry. So he put, I guess this guy's like in the nature a lot. This one, I wish I could pronounce his name, but it's like almost Maurice, but it's like Marco Hoyas Padilla. I'm going to add him as a friend because he's got some really, unable. He's sending. I think he's at his max on friends. He's got some really cool stuff on his webpage. I wish I could pronounce his name right. But he's got this poor thing with elephant seals, and it looks like one's badly wounded, like somebody bit at it. The poor thing looks like it's dying. But it's like video, too. Yeah, I know, I went off on a stray, but that's me. He's got some really cool shark pictures, too. I mean, like, really awesome shark pictures. This guy on Facebook. Yeah, he's got some really, really neat stuff. Yeah, again, I'm going to go back. I'm going to see if I can find my YouTube thing, and hopefully I can link that, see if it still works. Because they may take it down. Yeah, my movie, by the way, is... it's not really a movie. It's just raw footage, but it's the length, excuse me, of a movie. It's an hour and 33 minutes. So I'm just hoping to generate some people to, like, check it out. Yes, it is really boring. I wouldn't sit through this, trust me. And I made it. I shot the video. But I will put a link for either way on Spreaker. But yeah, what else was I going to say, folks? There's not much more for me to say. I just wanted to touch base with audience members who may listen to me. Let them know, yeah, I apologize for being off. Work was just an issue. I deliberately, on Friday, actually, I took some personal time just to avoid, what do you call it, the soap opera shenanigans that go on at my job on a daily basis. And it just seems like it's going to be more soap operas tomorrow. I don't know. I'm just worried that I might be looking for another job soon. And unfortunately, it's not going to pay. Now, it would be ideal for me, folks, if I could get a job doing what I'm doing now, like radio personality, doing some type of thing with entertainment. I would eat that up in a heartbeat. I would be fine with that. But unfortunately, things don't always pan out the way you want them to. Now, if for the second, part of my life, if I could do something, I'm sorry, I'm checking something right now, do something that I really enjoy, I would be ecstatic. I would not have to worry about people driving me nuts or women thinking that I'm stalking them. That would not be an issue for me at all. I would be very, very pleased just not to deal with any of the shenanigans that I deal with now. But unfortunately, that would be in a perfect world. But unfortunately, we live in the real world. Some of us still, not all of us. And because of that, it's never turns out the way you want it to. So maybe not in this lifetime, but hopefully in the next lifetime, I'll get what I want. I don't know. So anyway, folks, it's getting extremely hot from all this stuff. My new computer is coming tomorrow, so I'm very happy about that. So maybe I can do better programming. The computer I have now actually works very well because of everything I have souped it up. I used, by the way, even though it doesn't look like it, if you look at the video I have on YouTube, I had to really wash down the quality, but I used Final Cut Pro, which I think I paid a couple $100. I think it was like $200-300. But back in the old days, that sounds like a lot. That program was like over $1,000, I think. I think it was a couple grand. So they really, basically, they took out everything they probably figured you don't need. They're not going to give you everything up front. And they gave you just the bare necessities, which is all you need at first, just to make a program. And it was very nice because I got all this RAM in my computer. My new one's going to have just as much, the same amount. But yeah, it has really nice transitions. I'm doing it right now. I'm looking at my Final Cut. I could easily, with a sweep of the mouse, I can just go over and frame by frame. I can just look at every frame without playing them. Like I can just zoom through. So that's what I kind of did because it makes your editing much, much faster because you don't have to sit there. If you know your audio levels are right, you can just, because I'm doing this right now, you can just cut and paste. And they have this thing that's really nice because I'm not a good reader. So what I do is I'll look, and then if I see a place like, okay, this just looks too dark, the quality of the video, that's all I did. That's why it was kind of rushed to put this up. You can go under, and there's a thing called trim, and there's a thing called blade. You just hit blade, and that basically does a clean slice of your video. And if you find a section like, okay, this part, it just looks too dark, I'm just going to cut this out and just have basically like jump from the one scene to another scene and just eliminate what is not good quality video. So you hit the blade on, where you want it to start to do the cut. Like think of film, like you're literally doing the same thing. You're cutting the film, and you're making the end point of where you want to cut the other end of the piece of film. That's the best way because it looks like a film line. And then basically just delete that part, and that's all there's to it. It's so simple. And if you have a good system, a good Mac system that can run this, it makes video editing, or even because they could probably use this. You could probably, because I think Kevin Smith uses something like Final Cut. I know he uses a Mac. It makes your because most of your film is digital anymore. There's no such thing as real film anymore. It's all digital. You can literally just slice a movie together with no problem. It wasn't like when I first started college back 20 years ago. Back then it was really difficult to edit. And they did have the Avid system, which was supposed to make it really easy because you basically dumped all your footage from film or video into this Avid machine. Machine. It was a machine called Avid. It is a program you can buy for your PCs, though, apparently. But you would dump it in. You would change all your video signals or your video quality stuff or your film into a non-linear way of working with it. You would edit it that way, and then you would dump it back out. Well, this is actually much better than what Avid ever could offer me. So I'm very happy about that. So, so I will put that up then. Hopefully you will like it. I'm pretty, pleased with some of it. It's just very long and probably extremely boring. So trust me, unless you're into just follow me around, because that's all I did. Is I walked around with a camera on my head on a baseball cap. And then, by the way, if you want to know, most of that footage was done by. Now you can't tell because the footage again I have on YouTube is washed out. But if you could actually see the actual footage that I had taken on the GoPro, that's that little camera you can clip on. You can take it under the water. You can take it on, like if you go surfing. You can take it hiking, biking, whatever, because you just mount it to yourself. Because it does come with a sealed case, which I had taken off. It takes incredible sound, which I was shocked again. And my GoPro was only $130, I think. It was the cheap one they put out just recently. I'm trying to look, but I don't have my glasses on. I don't have any lights on, so I can't really tell you. Oh, it's called the Hero. That's like $130 retail. I put a 32 gig flash drive in there, by the way, if anybody's interested. And I shot for at least almost a whole 4 hours. It was at least definitely over 3 hours footage I got on the GoPro. And it was actually surprisingly better than my very expensive professional camera. So, and then the Sony camera. So, yeah, the GoPro does a nice job. You just got to make sure that you mount it right to yourself. You can't put it on a tripod. If you really want to go crazy, you can actually, I heard you can get an external, you can connect it to an external, like, monitor. Because I heard that some professionals will use the GoPros and they hook them up to regular monitors. So you can actually visualize what you're seeing and not just second guess on what kind of, what the shot's going to turn out. Like, because my video shots on the GoPro were really high quality, but they were mainly of the tops of people's heads, or sometimes they're right on the money. Because if you have it lined up on your forehead right, whatever you see should be what the camera sees. That's the way it's set up, but for some reason I had it tilted up too high. And sometimes I had it tilted down too low. So I got everything except the correct eye level that I should have gotten with the camera. But other than that, hopefully you will find some interest in it. Trust me, I don't expect anybody to sit through that hour and 33 minutes. Other than that, everyone, have a good morning on this Tuesday, because it's getting late. I need to get some sleep, and I will talk to you later. And I will try to be back on a somewhat normal basis. I can't guarantee anything at this point because I still am off my sleep schedule. So everyone, have a good one. I am signing off for now. This is iWalter. I am Walter Durante, and it is going 3 o'clock in the morning. So have a good one.